we're going to be discussing how to make a memorable scenario, a memorable NPC, a memorable campaign as a DM. Now, I have up here the Curse of Strahd. This is a very well-regarded mod. It's written very well. And this contains some of the basic elements that I did want to bring up in how to help make memories of your game. One of the biggest factors you can do is interaction. As a DM, do not just narrate things. Don't say, okay, so John, if the character's name not John, that you've already said a faux pas. Okay, John, yeah, your character goes to the door and he sees 2 barrels and some cobwebs. Did you describe the room? Yes. Could you have said, you know, okay, let's say John's playing Bombada here. Okay, Bombada, you use your thieves' tools and you pick the lock. As you enter, you see what looks like might have been a storeroom at some point in time. There's several barrels, but it doesn't look like anyone's been in here recently because there are cobwebs strewn about. This interaction is putting John through Boombada into the action, into the room. Actually, there's inaction going on right now. You're describing things. You're making the world come alive around John and his character Boombada. You're allowing the character to interact with the world by picking the door, by creaking as he opens the door. You go, "Rrr," by making these details come alive for him. This interaction, he's not just watching a game be played. He's not reading a book. This interaction puts him into the game as a living, breathing member of this game world's, you know, presence. Sorry, I had to check something real quick here. So, interaction is huge. The mod you see here, which is well done, has a lot of this interaction. If you go and you read locations, in fact, we can go a little bit towards the end here. It goes into detail about every room of a house. Now, I'm not saying that we're getting a novel, but it makes every room make sense, and there's enough things here that you can remember or learn what to do. As it describes a kitchen. Well, it's not just a kitchen, right? We want to make a horror element theme. So you describe things as rusty or broken, or shelves sag like a frown on a face, or you know, you swear that you see a little bit of movement under the fabric of the flour sack. Could it be you know, could it just have been some flour settling after the cook had turned to make a meal? Or could it be a rat or something? Yeah, so here you go. You know, you have, it talks about cultists. It talks about shackles, what the room was used for as DM notes. So you're making the world come alive. Describe the world with some detail. As a character walks in to a place, you know, it's a kitchen. It seems obvious it's a kitchen. You can state as much. Give 1 or 2 features of the kitchen. Something that might draw the eye or something that might divert the eye. Don't give your players a ton to think on. But what is a feature? Just like when we make our city, right? I try and put 3 features in the lands of whatever map we're making. Because it's going to create this little psychological gateway for them. Where they say, oh yeah, that's the place that had the thing. And hopefully they remember what the thing is. But they say, oh no, the mountains, I remember them. The Cloud Touch Mountains. They had the 10 faces, right? The really weird faces. We never figured out what those faces were, did we? And this is a conversation you can have 2 years, 3 years, 5 years after playing that campaign. Well, I say that like it's over. We haven't even finished it. We're going to do that tomorrow. But just by putting in these little details, it's drawing the player in, and it's helping them to remember what's what. Because if you just say, oh, you walk through the mansion and there's a kitchen and a bedroom, yeah, that's the expectation. Those things are going to be there. And so otherwise you're just going to fall right out otherwise. Though, like we discussed yesterday, if you give that it's this except for this, it creates a little bit more memorable of an experience. Also, as a DM, involve yourself. Involve yourself. What does this mean? Obviously, everyone's paying attention to you when you're speaking, yeah? You're at the head of the table. You're, you know, everyone's looking at you and you're reading from the mod, or you're creating things, or you're running combat. That's the expectation. That's the background. Everyone expects the DM. What's going to set you apart? What's going to make people pay attention to you? And a really good way of doing this, and I'm going to use Curse of Strahd as an example. There's an area where they meet a group of effectively like gypsies or Romana. I forget if that's the proper PC term nowadays. Pikeys, if any of you have seen the movie Snatch. You know, they're caravanners, they're wanderers. And you meet a very charismatic leader who tells a story. And actually I should take my I'm going to take my headphones off for this. Oh, I'll show you these towards the end here. Those are some of the other gnomes that I ended up finding that are fun. Let me get something a little bit ambient here in the back. So there we go. Okay. Oh, my hair's a mess. What will you think of me? I'll show you what I ended up doing here. Number one, when I was running this at my store, have music. Just like I play in the background here. Get yourself a nice little, like, a Bluetooth speaker of some kind. This one has pretty good output for just being a little thing here. It connects to your phone. You can play stuff that you have saved. A Pandora, tabletop audio mixer, things along those lines. The music sets the mood. It helps create a background and gets people involved in what's happening. I would highly suggest getting a speaker of some kind, wired or not. Oop. Now when you have that moving, so now here in Curse of Strahd, you're saying, okay, so you meet this gypsy leader and he comes up, and you know, as you're describing, they're dressed very colorfully. They're dressed in you know, they have beads. You can almost say, oh, you know, he kind of looks like Captain Jack Sparrow kind of a thing. Headbands and bead patterns and rings, and everything is bright and clingy, like clangy on him. And so when he speaks, I would recommend, number one, an accent of some kind. Also, get a prop, right? So let's do this here. Here's my gypsy headband prop. When I'm wearing this, I am Stanimir. And Stanimir, he speaks very quickly. He speaks boldly. He speaks as a man who's in charge of his people. And when he tells a tale, Stanimir expresses himself. He projects his hands and his arms, and he paces around the fire, which you can do as the DM, is to pace around the table, and even clasp your players on the shoulder and make a point. And that is a good way to get them further involved. You're playing the role, and all you're doing is using a silly accent, getting, like, you know, 10 steps on your pedometer in, and you're wearing a headband. But this headband might as well be a full body costume and makeup. To the, you know, the Mind's Eye Theater, to use the White Wolf to use the White Wolf LARPing system name. So if I have this on, I am Stanimir, the leader of the Vistani, at least the initial one. And it's bold, everyone sees it, and your players, if you're a DM, are going to say, man, he put in this work. Like, he got this kerchief or this, this headband. Seo says, I know at least with video games, at least if something doesn't have good music, I have to check out. I was never lucky enough to play D&D with a DM who used music. I hope that you do, Seo, or if you stay tuned and I do get a like a Roll20 group going, I guarantee you I will be using music in that game. So, involve yourself. It's only fair. If you're expecting involvement from your players, you should also be involved. Seo says, I've watched a lot of Critical Role, though. Mercer captivates me. So you need to invest. This is what, like $1? You could go to Walmart and get something like this, or just get like a do-rag or something. All of a sudden, you're the leader of, of the Vistani caravan. You're Stanimir, and you make and again, write down just like a couple personality traits. The mod might give you some, but make up some of your own, whatever feels natural for you, because you're playing the part. So, I am Stanimir, and I am here to fetch you and take you back to our lands, so that you could help us rid ourselves of our Dark Lord who has fallen, and has taken the countryside of Barovia with him. That's our character, Stanimir. Now, later on, Stanimir leaves them behind, and the characters split up. Well, I had a party of 14 people at my store, which means I'm actually going to be running 2 sessions of Curse of Strahd on Wednesday and Thursdays to try and accommodate. So anyway, at one point in time here, the group... By the way, there might be minor spoilers here. Don't read this. I'm going to try not to give away too much. Yeah, by the way, see? Look, a nice vivid illustration. There's a group of Vistani. So, at one point, they reach what's called the Serpool encampment. And here, in Madame Ava's tent, they get their fortunes read by something called a Toroka card. There's another interaction, and I can go over that too. But when they eventually are invited into Madame Ava's tent, what can you do, right? Especially, what if you're a guy and you haven't been resed with res please back as a female? Well, you have this kind of you have this like kind of Eastern European, like a Bohemian style. Everything's kind of like Slavic Germanic, and so you can just put on a scarf, right? It's kind of like a little babushka or something. And you just give it a tie. Hide the beard, right? And now I am the old crone, Madame Ava, and I am here to read your fortunes. Now tell me, are you ready to know your fates? You must say yes and give me the permission to tie ours together, for you see, when you know what is to come, it may well be hard to escape and harder still to avoid. Accent, eye contact if she's this intense old crone, and a simple prop of nothing more than a scarf. I am Madame Ava. And are you gonna remember that if your DM does that too? I've shown a little bit of investment into the character. I've shown a little bit of investment into costumes and wardrobe. And is this going to pull you into the story? Even if it makes you laugh initially, which it very well may. Is that laughter going to be a memorable act? 2 years from now, are you going to say, "Oh, I remember playing Curse of Strahd, and the guy playing the guy DMing it, he put on a scarf on his head and he gave us the Toroka reading as Madame Ava. It was hilarious." Even though it's supposed to be kind of a serious mystical spot, if you're being remembered as it's being funny and this person's being able to talk positively about you as a DM, you've won. Congratulations. You've done what so many DMs have wanted to do, have struggled to do, have tried many different things, and maybe have overcomplicated it. This isn't complicated. You just talk like a crazy old lady. Roll your R's if you want. And sometimes I turned V's into W's like vampire, while other times I pronounced them hard. Was it a mistake? What does it matter? I'm the one in charge as the DM. I'm the one in charge as Madame Eva. And I can always break the fourth wall if I really wanted to. So, bada boom. This is Madame Eva. This is Madame Eva. You can show the map and you can describe it and you can get into it. But you've just made this character come alive and you've created a moment in time that your players are going to remember. Because you're investing in the world. You're involving yourself and not just demanding that they will easily pay attention to you. They want to pay attention if you're doing this. You have the background, you have the voice going. You have so much going on. And in fact, to make it even easier, I have the link. I have the link in down below. But if we go to let's go to Ambient Mixer real quick, right? And we're going to go to their search function. We're going to type in Vistani. And it's almost like it's almost like this is a popular mod in that people have been inspired by it and create all of this cool stuff. And so here you get this was the one that I ended up using. So here, I'm going to pause tabletop audio real quick and just make sure that this is coming through. So if you need to, turn up your volume. I'm going to be quiet. I'll even mute my mic. I want you to just close your eyes for like 15 seconds. Listen to the music. Does this put you in the middle of a gypsy camp? What did you think? Do you feel like you're in the middle of this camp? There's the lonely, the fiddle playing, the bonfire, the sound of the water as you're describing the scene that you saw on the map here. So this is outside of Madame Eva's tent. Or if you're sitting around a bonfire, you can find all kinds of stuff to help bring your campaign alive. And all it took was just like 2 seconds of searching. Or knowing where to look, anyway. And that's what I really want to help empower you all to do. I'm not reinventing anything as a DM. I'm not doing anything that is new, that is necessarily innovative. I want to teach you ways to think, shortcuts to use that don't necessarily hinder quality but improve it. I want to accelerate the growth of your beard so that you new bloods become long beards after not too much longer. Alright, so I'm going to close that out. That can go bye-bye again. And then I'm going to put on the atmospheric music. So, I did the Taroka reading. And on top of that, because the mod describes that she has a crystal ball in her tent, check this out. You ready? I will close my eyes, and I will peer into the depths of the ball. Oh, yes, I see it. I see the magic. I see your fates. Ta-da! The magic of a couple props. Sayo says, I love Ambient Mixer. Yeah, Ambient Mixer is really nice. It's a very powerful tool to use, too. And you can make your own. You know, you don't even have to spend a ton of time doing it. So, later on, or rather, as I put it at the tabletop, meanwhile, at the village of Barovia. And again, as a DM, when I do that, Yeah, it's kind of a fourth wall breaking because it's like a comic book trope. But here I am. I'm taking you through a channel you recognize. I'm using this announcer voice. Meanwhile, at the village of Barovia, the other half of the group was walking down the street, and they met two little kids that they were kind of creepy in and of themselves, but they said, "Oh, please, won't you help us? There is a monster in our house. It's terrible, and our little brother's upstairs on the 3rd floor." So you raise your voice a little bit. You still throw in an accent. You could do a different one if you're comfortable, or just let something happen. How would a scared kid sound for you? If you're the DM and you're a scared kid and you have a comfortable scared kid sounding voice, that's what a scared kid sounds like. Who are your players to argue? I mean, sure, one of them might say, let's say you go like heavy Cockney accent or something, and they're like, oh, I guess we're in England now. Ha ha ha. That's fine. You know what? They're going to remember that, aren't they? They're going to remember that you still did the accent, you're still trying, and that you're still trying to present something outside of the norm of our American English speaking voice. Actually, let me see if Caboose is in here, because then that would have... if Caboose is in here, then that would also bring in some UK English. Okay, I don't see him in here. So, it was an older sister and a younger brother, and the younger brother was sobbing, so he didn't really have lines. However, the younger brother was holding a stuffed animal. Now, there is an illustration in here of those children. And, I might be able to find them real quick. I'm just going to show you a flash, because if you're going to play this, I do not want to give anything away about this. But you're going to see, and the art is consistent through the book, which is nice. That helps you as a DM a lot. There we go. So, just take a quick look. Here's Rosvalda, Rosedurst, and Thornbolt, Thorndurst. There's the little brother. He's got the doll. There's the older sister. So, they have their own, they have their own thing going. As I was describing Thorn, and because the lines were coming from the older sister, so that's how I was talking. But when I would go over and I'd reference that the little boy was there, he's holding a stuffed animal. Well, I can do that too. And so I thought, okay, what is something I can hold that would be kind of cute, kind of creepy? What would fit? Because I didn't have like a weird, messed up ragdoll like he did. And so as I was doing this, I guess he's a chameleon. This is a Tonberry, by the way, and he's green. So he's going to be a little see-through. However, I had the little boy like holding this Tonberry, but I mean, come on, he's a Tonberry, right? And so I was, oh, sister, are the brave people going to help save our little brother? Oh. As he's petting this, kind of creepy, kind of I guess he's an invisible stalker. Let's use D&D monster terms, right? So again, I used a prop. It was something that I already had around because I'm a Final Fantasy nerd. Loud and proud. Actually. And it caused some laughs, and it caused some people to go, oh, that's cute. And they still paid attention, and I guarantee you they're going to remember Rose and Thorn, which, as a DM, let's say that you're making this mod, right? It sounds a little comic bookish, but do you think that's going to help people remember those two creepy kids that you met on the road? Like, your first day in Barovia? Rose and Thorn. So you might not, like, Rosvalda and Thornwalt do sound like Eastern European or like these, like, Bohemian names, or like Bavarian names. But the quick reference is Rose and Thorn. Oh, I get it. And maybe Walther's like Walther is like water, right? Because that's what they need to grow, kind of a thing. So don't be afraid of accents, music, props, and clever names. Even like somewhat that we did here with Brother Bombada Cousins. This is going to help create a memorable character. You have the same character, but now in this case, if you think of Monk, you're like, okay, I get it. It's a martial artist. He's going to go like whoop-ah, and just jump around and hit things, and it's a monk. A monk is a monk. This is a way different monk, especially with how we built him. Just even if we didn't go for the gunplay route, he's intelligent. He's a scholar. He's like a book transcriber. He might even be like, he might not even look forward to combat. He'll fight if it's necessary, but that's why he wants to fight smart, not fight hard. And so he's invented all these things. We've taken, yes, it's a monk, and monks know how to fight and do these other things. We've taken that concept and we've just slightly twisted it. Because a lot of people already know about Equilibrium, The Matrix, you know, the over-the-top kung fu, wire fu, gun fu antics that you get out of movies. And the fact that it sounds kind of cheesy is all the more delighting. So, yeah, hopefully this is making sense to you all here in what we're doing for tonight's session. As well, whatever you do, let there be a reason to it. Oh, hey. We're joined by a cat. Not unexpected, right? If you describe that there are barrels in a room, let's go back to our kitchen example. Your characters are probably going to wonder why you mention the barrels when there's all sorts of things that could be in a kitchen. It's going to make them want to explore it. Does anything have to be in there? No. But realize that your words as a DM carry power and influence. Why are barrels in a kitchen? Oh, well, they probably are used to store dry goods or wine or water, things along those lines. And so when your players challenge you and say, I'm going to look in the barrels, what's inside? And I'm not saying challenge in a bad way. As they look inside and they're just so innately curious, you can readily respond, oh, yes, it looks like water. In fact, roll a... actually, here, let's choose someone. Well, shoot, I don't know who's... someone roll me a d20. You're making an investigation check. First one to roll a 1d20. Are they barrels of pickled herring? They might be. Alright, I'll do it myself here. 1d20. Alright, oh, I got a 3. So, this is my investigation. Whatever, let's say I have a... let's use our mod for our character here. Investigation, 3 plus 5 is 8. That's probably not going to hit your arbitrary DC for what's going on. And, you know, you can fudge it, or, you know, or you just give some basic, like you were going to describe it anyway. You wanted to give your player a little bit of agency in the world. And so you can still throw them a bone. Whether it's a herringbone or not, that's up to you. But you can say, ah, yes. So, this barrel looks full. And as you're looking around, this isn't necessarily based off of perception, because it's easy to perceive. It's what's the connection between it. It looks like there's a pipe that goes up. And when you're doing this as a DM, do this. Point up and look up like you're actually looking at it. There's a pipe that goes up to the roof. And it looks like there's a valve that might turn off the water. So perhaps there's some sort of a rain collection device. And this is what helps bring fresh water down into the kitchen. All of a sudden, you've probably just made... It's a simple thing. It makes total sense. But the fact that you could do that just suddenly blows the mind of your PCs, and they're like, "Oh, you have that, like you have this on lockdown." This is why watching some of the other YouTube and Twitch channels that I've linked down below, like the primitive technology, just watch like chemistry or plumbing or carpentry videos to learn some basic stuff. History videos, like even little like 5-10 minute blurb ones. And all of a sudden, this is going to help you be able to make the connections in the world about not just what exists, but why do things exist. There's a barrel in there for a reason. It could hold pickled herring, like Shad said. It could be underneath a cistern on the roof that has a pipe that comes down into the kitchen, and then that fills the rain barrels for fresh water in the kitchen. And now you're making the world come alive for your characters, not just when they're going into a room and you're describing it, but now they understand, yes, this makes sense. Yes, people live here. It's not just a stage. It's not just a setting. It's not just some words in a book. People live here. They drink the water that comes down through the pipe when it rains. It's active, it's living, it's involved, and they want to be a part of a living and involved world that you are narrating to them. That can very subtly also help their influences, because it is all too easy for a group of well-meaning adventurers to turn into a party of lol random murder hobos. 2 words, LOL, space MURDERHOBOS. Right? They don't have any place to live. They just wander town to town. They kill people and break things because it's fun. They're not invested in the world. It's just a barrel. I don't care. Are they going to have that same attitude if they know that the family who lives in this house gets their fresh water from that barrel? And if you're providing this consistently, all of a sudden they're like, ooh, other people live here and they do things. Maybe we shouldn't just, you know, slash and burn our way across the countryside because we have plot armor. Oh, Peru, what did you do? You gain a level and a wondrous item appears in your hands. Well, look at that. There's a reward for you. So, here you're invested now. And you can do the same. If you only want to narrate combat, you can do that easily in 5th edition. Now, is it better with a tactical map? I personally think so. Then that leads you to say, well, should I use minis? Should I use pre-painted minis? Should I use hand-painted minis? If you remember, these are the ones that I got from White Metal Games. And I suggest you all check out their channel because they do giveaways. You can win minis like this from them. They will ship them right to you. You can describe an earth elemental, but when you put this out on the battlefield, this draws your characters into the fight. They can see it, it becomes a little bit more tangible, and if it's a really cool paint job, or if it's a really well done model, like here. It wants to focus on my hand. No, stop. Come on now. My face doesn't exist, camera. You see nothing. I don't want this to be awkward. Come on, camera. Well, anyway, alright. So, there we go. So, if this is a PC or even an enemy, you can describe, you know, oh, she floats about a foot above the floor, and she has a flowing red dress, and you use all these nice adjectives and whatnot. Well, when you put this mini out there, all of a sudden she becomes more real, she becomes more tangible. Your players might be more willing to interact with her because she's, you know, she's so well done. Look at her base. There's even grass and whatnot. And so it's getting them involved. Oh yeah, I forgot. So this is an orc, like a hunter or a ranger, but it's going to be like an invisible stalker because of the type of green that was used. Cover my face. Come on, focus. Focus, camera. Camera. Oh well. So, I don't know, that one's a little bit more difficult. Or, you want to go creepy? Let's go creepy. So as you're describing, like, ghostly apparitions that pour out of the floor or the ceiling or something along those lines, and you put a miniature like this out, this was airbrushed painted in not a lot of time. Maybe, what, 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so. And look at what you get from that. You can do quick brush work, too. You don't need to be a professional mini painter to be able to get some really good effects. But now, this makes your tabletop come alive. And, again, you are investing into the game monetarily with time or effort. One thing that I like doing as a DM, if I can, I will buy miniatures for my players after they've determined which characters they want to play. They're a couple bucks a piece. I can go on reapermini.com, and I'm soliciting them. I sell their minis. I use their minis. They're great. You can go to reapermini.com. They have like 1,000 different minis. You can use filters to say, I want a female half-orc wizard, and it'll filter through all their minis, and you might even find a couple different ones. So even if you never paint them, take this step. Buy minis for your group. Show them that you care and that you want them to get into their character. If a character is just a bunch of words on a page, does anyone really want to pay attention, especially to this? This gets you... This is your engine. This is your chassis. Yes, this is what's important. But does anyone know or care about that? Maybe a couple people do. No, they want to look at the shell of your car. They want to look at your paint job. Do you have a spoiler that's useful or not? And by the way, if you have a front-wheel drive car and you put a spoiler on, I'm going to find you. And I'm going to bop you on the head. And I'm going to ask you why. If you get why I'm saying that, then kudos to you. Oh, 400 Ralparthas. Wow, look at this guy over here, man. Shad's got the longest beard of everyone here, I guess. We're in an e-beard fight. Oh, goodness. But if none of you know what he or I are talking about, look up Ralpartha minis. They may not all look pretty, but you want to talk about, like, old school, like the origination of minis and D&D and whatnot? Yeah, do that. 400, jeez. Even if that's only a slight exaggeration, that's still a good chunk. So, if you notice, right, so here's all this. When we build a character, what comes last? This stuff comes last. What do? We fill in this first. Who is he before what is he? What are his thoughts and feelings? And now look, we have something more tangible. We've pulled an image that can help represent. And now from there, we've gone further and, well, all right, so we'll use the, we'll use the Earth Elemental as the guide. So now if this is your mini, you can put your hands on it. Whether it's painted or not, you're moving him on the vinyl map. You, as a player, are invested in your DM's game because of this step. And all that your DM did, in this case, if you wanted to gift it, was, get the order together and pay a couple bucks a head for minis. So, encourage minis, pictures, and other manifestations of the characters and villains. Terrain 2, I mean, I showed you that ghost wall. Terrain is... Unless for some reason you really want to feature terrain, more than like wet erase markers on a vinyl mat, it might not be as important. So I would leave the major players, because it helps focus the eye, right? If we know that everyone who's important is 3D on this 2D map, it helps, it just helps keep things going along. Not even an exaggeration, just look at your profile pic. Oh, lordy. Wow, so that is, this is a Mimic, and we're talking, like, Gen 1 Mimic. Wow, that is interesting. Just eyes aren't as good as they used to paint anymore. You know, they have something that I like using. I call it the lice lamp because it's like what nurses used to use back in elementary school. But it's one of those. It's like a magnifying lamp that has a round LED or fluorescent daylight bulb in it, and that way you can paint, and it's like reading glasses for painting. And I love using it. It makes it a little easier. And or if nothing else, Shad, if you wanted to still paint, you could get an airbrush and do more basic minis. Like, you could paint solid thing, like, you know, here's an earth elemental, right? You really can't go wrong. Throw some brown, some black, do whatever you want in there to make it look like that. You don't have to do ultra detailed stuff. And for any of you who are watching out there too, and you're like, oh geez, I have to learn how to paint and do all this, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything that I'm saying. These are all just suggestions that you can leave or take or improve upon, or even come up with new ones that will help draw your players into your game and keep them talking, keep them invested, and then go from there. The last piece of advice for this section that I'm going to offer is spend time together outside the game, but involving it. Shed says that doesn't even count 2 cases of Mage Knight. Oh, wow. Mage Knight 2. Mage Knights can make for good plastic pre-painted minis. The base sizes are a little large for the 1-inch grid, but they can still work really well. Oh, and you have... oh, you have one from White Westinghouse. Okay, yeah, you're talking about the lice lamp, quote-unquote. So, if you play with friends, if you can, I understand on virtual tabletops it can be more difficult. Spend time together. Chat. Use Discord. Preferably vocal chat. Even more preferably, like a face chat like what we're doing. Eye contact. Voice. Emotions. One of the best ways you can do this isn't just like hanging out, you know, outside a convenience store or whatever, or you know, hanging out over Xbox or something. But eat a meal before you play. Yeah. Order a pizza together. Get Thai food. If you as a DM wants to make dinner, or if you have a significant other who wants to, you know, just pat you on the head and say, that's nice, have fun playing with the boys, and she's willing to do that, pass around a hat, have all your players throw in $5 to cover the cost of ingredients and a little bit of a gratuity, and have dinner together. Just sit and talk. You can talk a little bit about the game, you can talk about IRL stuff that happens outside of it, but spend like an hour together, eating, drawing, catching up. Because this is going to get everyone in the zone, and you're going to create these bonds between players, and you're going to then, those bonds between players are going to help flow into the bonds between characters. And also, if something really funny, or, you know, even tragic, or something comes up in conversation between us as the human beings controlling the characters, that's another psychological gateway we just created to help the game be memorable. It turns into, oh man, do you remember that, you know, we were just getting ready to storm the giant's castle, and that was the night that that Bill got in that fender bender, and we were all worried about him, right? Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Fortunately, Bill was okay, and he was able to come by, and you know, we put the smackdown on that giant in his castle. Hey, we did it. I mean, I'm glad Bill's okay. Obviously, his concern needs to come first, but your players are attaching moments in life to moments in your campaign. Have you ached and yearned to run a campaign from full level 1 to 20 when most campaigns statistically end around level 10, starting at 1, or if not even 1, like 3? That's like 7 levels on average that people go through for a campaign. Do you want to go to the epic? Do you want to tell these year and a half long 2-year tales that, I mean, this is what I do. I love doing this. All of my campaigns, with the exception of my first, and at that one we ended at like level 17, I think. But that was 3.5, so it was close to 20. In 4th edition, we went to 30. In here, we're going to 20. Like, this is... these are long tales. We play for over a year together. And real life happens. People, you know, people live, people die, people make babies, people have pets, people... you know, move in, move out, or whatever's going on. And so now you can measure the progress of our lives, which are hopefully intrinsically important to us, to what's happening in the game world as well. You know, they get into it. And that's exactly what you want, because then you're being remembered by them as well. And so it's a little bit of a personal gratification. Pouty Lips says, I always buy pizza every week. We have 7 people that play, and my wife gets the pizza for me. Yes, that is great. I'm glad that even if, I don't know if she plays or not, you haven't indicated, Pouty, but if she doesn't, then she's at least helping and she's encouraging you all. And hopefully your players all understand that and are thankful for her too. We play every Monday. We have been killing deadly encounters, and I've been helping people know how to play and build their characters. We fought a CR level 12 Necromancer and at level 6, and it had 4 10 CR rating magical armors that were homebrewed on purpose to try and kill us. Oh my goodness. Oh, here's something else that's fun, right? You're talking about having multiple enemies on a map, Pouty Lips. What you can do is, it's called Kill and Keep. What you do, you smoked it, oh wow. That's some creative, either your DM forgot to use some powers or you guys just were overwhelming. I'm glad that you won that. I'd love to hear like how the encounter played out or what were some tense points. But for a Kill and Keep, what you do is pretend these are Starburst, right? Individually wrapped candies. And what's nice is they come, the wrapper around them has like a wax on it. So you take something like a water-soluble marker and you write down G for Goblin and H for Hobgoblin. You put them on the map. All your Hobgoblins are strawberry pink. All your Goblins are banana yellow. When your characters kill a creature, they keep that Starburst and they can eat it. Does that make sense? Again, you as the DM, you're investing in it. You're having fun with it. Everyone's paying attention, and it becomes sort of a side mini competition about who can rack up the most candy. In a fight where we're not battling the morals of sentient races, are goblins intrinsically evil, and oh my goodness. We can get into the weeds with that. If you want something that's a little bit more lighthearted fun, and it's kind of a kill 'em all situation, label some candies and throw them out there. Or, make up a fun, like, leaderboard. Have, like, a Legolas and Gimli competition, right? In Lord of the Rings when they're keeping track of the kill count. If you do that here, there'll be a lot of kill stealing if you do this. Got to get that candy. That is right, Peru. Pouty says, now I focused Necro and ran down into the cave after him. I had haste on me. Attacked 4 times, hit 2 crits. Oh, goodness. Here, I'll do this for you. Bing, bing. Alright. You know what? There might be more, but this isn't the only time that I'm going to talk about investing in the group or the party. This was a way that... This is like the first formal week, I think, of the channel, right? We've hit affiliate status, and I say we because this isn't just my channel. We're telling tales. We're asking questions. We're in this together. We have hit affiliate status. It's a regular schedule. We now have made a party of 5 characters. And next week, we're going to tie them all together with a map that we made. And we're going to make like a mini mod or a story around it. And so going over a lot of these basics is a good way to say, you know what, here's the start. These are good, solid tips for you to carry forward, and we're going to touch on them later. But tonight, let's talk about them now because it's relevant, because we're doing work on both sides really heavily to get this first story published. Not published, but you get what I'm saying. Shadzar says, then everyone only attacks the kobold because it is the strawberry starburst, and nobody attacks the orc because it's green apple. Yeah, everyone has favorites, so you better be careful about which you assign to which. Alright, it's about that time that I get up and I make a little bit of tea, do some stretches. Hopefully you all do the same. If you have a cat or a dog, give them a pet. I'm going to go into the short rest mode. I'm going to mute my mic, and I'll be back in, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes. You guys just jam out and continue sharing stories, because that's a really cool one, Pouty Lips. I'm happy that you brought this up. I always love hearing about what other people have done. And when we come back, it's going to be more of this. I'm not going to be recording anything, and we're going to be talking, sharing stories. It's just going to be us time.